Welcome to another edition of the Postgame Wrap. I'm Jarret Johnson, and hey, Red Raider fans out there, this time last week, we all were kind of looking at each other and we had more questions than we did answers coming out of that game. But now, look, Texas Tech dispatched Florida International the way, I think Tech fans were wanting to see. The final score was 54-21. It's a 33-point victory. It's not too shabby. They had that really big explosion in the second quarter after kind of another slow start, and then the second half wasn't really competitive, and Tech was able to play a lot of the guys down the depth chart and everything. But I think there were some things that Tech fans really wanted to see from this program, and one of those was the offensive line play better. They did that. They gave Tyler Shuck tons of time. I think he was only sacked once, and Shuck actually took responsibility for that after the game, as you'd expect. But, he had a great game. You look at his numbers, 26 of 35 for 399 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no turnovers. And another thing, a big storyline that had developed through the first two games was EZ was dominating, period, defenses, but also, he was really the only one being featured in terms of the receivers on offense. So everybody was clamoring for Tech to spread the ball around. Well, let's see. 11 different receivers caught passes, including the tight ends. That's something else Tech fans want to see. Like, we heard all about this. We've been hearing about these tight ends for years now, and including this offseason. When are they actually going to get them, make them a big part of the offensive game plan? Well, tight ends caught 3 touchdowns, tonight. 2 of those, look, man, Travis Kuntz had a big game, 2 touchdowns, 6 catches, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Mason Tharp had 3 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. And on that touchdown he was running full speed, and it was just like we had said. Remember, he's 6'9", 255 pounds, ran away from the defense, but then made a behind the back, in full stride, behind the back, one-hand stab for the touchdown. That's the talent we've been talking about. And it was nice for it to be, for it to come out, for Tech's talent to shine tonight after us talking about it. Then defensively, I was really... I've been clamoring about Marquise Waters all offseason that he's a leader. He's a big-time player, and he came up with one of the plays of the game, perhaps the play of the game, with that pick 6. Adrian Fry, as a punt returner, actually had a pretty good night, but on that one play, I think it's actually just called a turnover. It's not a fumble, but he thought a Florida International player touched it already, so that even if he touched it and they came up with the ball, it wouldn't be a turnover. But no, they didn't, and that was the only turnover for Tech that night. And it looked like this was an opportunity for Florida International to really get in the game, and big momentum changer. And then bam, Marquise Waters comes up with that huge pick 6. I think it was 72 yards. So huge play in the game. It was really nice for Waters to make such a big play after I talked about him so much in the offseason. And the first 2 games he didn't get burnt or anything a lot. So his name wasn't getting called for bad things, but he just wasn't making any big-time plays. Well, like I said, perhaps he made the biggest play of the night there on that pick 6. So that was good to see. Brandon Boyer-Randall also, he had a lot of the other big plays for the defense. He really applied pressure on Florida International's quarterback from his rush linebacker position. And that's something we've been waiting for to see, right? And I think he looks much better this year than he did last year. I think Brandon Boyer-Randall is he's going to have an impact. He already has on this season and on this team, and that's good to see. And actually, Mighty Joe asked Coach Wells about him, and just about that, as Boyer-Randall as a pass rusher after the game. And Coach Wells said, yeah, he feels like Rico and Boyer-Randall are the 2 best pass rushing linebackers. Of course, Colin Schooler's pretty good too, and all those. Krishan Merriweather is pretty good at pass rusher too. All those guys are just good football players, but it's really good to see Boyer-Randall mixing it up and making some plays for the defense. So, Kalen Geiger had some big plays. So Roger got in there, So really, ultimately, it's in non-conference, it was mission accomplished. It doesn't appear to be any major injuries, although before I go to the dark side, I do want to say, it was nice to see Roger get in there. And, of course, they probably would have liked to see him get more work. But look, he did. He scored a touchdown. he got hit, and as Coach Will said, he was hit and he landed on that shoulder and he was okay. So he proved that to himself. He could fall on that bad shoulder that he had surgery on the off season and take it and be okay. So he'll be ready to go for that big game down in Austin against Texas next week, and that's good. Now on the flip side, Tyler Shuck at the end of the first half, he got kind of driven to the ground on his knee and kind of hobbled into the locker room at halftime, and then when he came out in the second half, at least he was playing. He played well, but he did have kind of like a knee brace on that knee. And then afterwards, he was asked about it. He said it was just a bruise, which is good, but he did have some kind of brace as he went home on, and that's probably as a precaution. But that's just something we'll have to watch, have to monitor, because obviously you have the quarterback getting hurt or not hurt, having some kind of pain or especially something with the knee. It makes you nervous, But look, he said it was a bruise. He did play in the second half, played well, so hopefully that won't be a thing. He'll be good to go against Texas. But it's definitely something to keep on the brain, right? But all in all, like I said, they're 3-0, no major injuries that we're aware of. They won. The average margin of victory was 3 scores. It was like 18 points, 18.6 points, I think it was. Always check my math though. And so, it's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, they should do this, they should be better than that. I mean, do they have things they need to clean up? Absolutely. Is this team, am I saying bring on Bama? No. But they have opportunity now. They open Big 12 play with 2 games on the road in difficult places. Texas and Austin, historically, has been tough. But, I do think Texas is beatable. And then West Virginia and Morgantown, which all of a sudden that looks tougher after their big win over Virginia Tech. But Coach Wells is 2-0, against West Virginia since he's been at Tech. I think really, if you look at if they could split, I know everybody win both of them undefeated. That'd be great too, of course. But if they could split those 2 road games to open Big 12 and then be 4-1 coming out of that, have TCU come into town, you gotta feel pretty good, about where you're at. And so, like I said, I feel like this is a 7-win, 8-win team. My prediction's always been 7 wins, and that's where I see it. I see some really good things from this team that give me hope that this is going to be a good season. And certainly their non-conference start hasn't changed any of those feelings. So we'll see what happens. It's about to get real with Big 12 play, but feeling pretty good in terms of their chances this year. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.